What's good, America? It's your man, Reggie Florima, a.k.a. Big Flo. Today, holding down the Big Flo and O show by myself. Oliver's taking a day of rest, but we still have to go on. Today, I got a special guest. He's a recruiting consultant and a camp director. We've done a lot of stuff when it comes to recruiting and trying to give people ideas for colleges and bringing on coaches and stuff. This guy is very unique. And the reason why I say that is a lot of times you're going to hear criticisms about recruiting services and different things, but this guy's name, for some reason, keeps coming up, and he's very high respected. So without further ado, I'm going to let him tell most of his story. We're going to get a round of applause or a little DJ horn today for Levi Bradley. All right, Levi, let me get your screen here. How's it going, Levi?
It's going, man. God is good, and I'm breathing, man. So I can't complain.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So where are we talking to you from today?
South side of Chicago.
So I don't know if it's gloomy over there. It's pretty gloomy here. They say it's rain, man. Just trying to make the best of this day, see what we can do.
Right.
So, man, today, guys, America and Levi, I don't know, have you ever given blood before?
Yeah, plenty of times, man. My mom's a RN, so she made sure that we understood the importance of giving blood. So y'all done it before.
So I gave blood today for the first time. I was feeling like things, I want to try to do my part. Everybody's starting to kind of feel motivated to get out. I gave my blood today, and I tell you, I think I'm a generous person, but I felt like they were kind of take a little bit more. I'm not stingy, but when I saw how much blood they gave, I thought maybe I could renege and get some of that blood back. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, the moment you chose to give, they taking what they could take.
I felt like, you ever been to have a barbecue at your house and you start making plates when people leave, and you felt like you gave away too many ribs or too much of the good meat? That's kind of how I felt. She reassured me that I had a lot more blood in my big behind than that. So shout out to the people at the blood donation place. Anybody listening, if you haven't given blood, good, you feel good about yourself. It really didn't hurt much. So anyway, that's a good deed for the day. Anyway, Levi. So tell you guys, I've heard the name Levi. Obviously, he's got a unique name. I don't know two people named Levi, but I've talked to college coaches. I've talked to players who have kids as recruits. I've talked to different high school coaches, and this name just keeps coming up. So I had to meet Levi. And after meeting the man, I realized that he cares a lot and he knows what he's doing. But I'm going to let him talk about it. First, Levi, let's talk about your background. Where are you from?
I'm from the south side of Chicago, man. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago, 63rd and Greenwood, straight out of Woodline. And then we moved around, moved to Kankakee for a little bit, moved to Joliet for a little bit. Moved back to the city, and then I moved to Minneapolis, St. Paul in the 8th grade. So me, Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Suggs, Joe.
We paused a little bit there. Hold on a second. Skype, you deal with what's free. Sometimes you get the frozen. So hold on one second. Let's get back. Levi, if you can hear us, hold on one second. We've got a very unflattering screenshot of you going on right now, and hopefully that can clear up in a few seconds. All right, sorry. So you said you grew up and you talked about moving to Minnesota, and then you froze for a second. So
yeah,
so
like I said, grew up outside of Chicago, and then moved to Kankakee, from Kankakee to Joliet back to the city, then left Chicago, moved to Minneapolis in the 8th grade, and as I was saying, me, Larry Fitzgerald, Marion Barber, Alan Anderson, Terrell Suggs, we all grew up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Thomas DePay. We had a lot of guys up there that could play that were, really under the radar, and that's kind of what inspired me to do what I'm doing today.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of kids from different cities and states, no matter how good they were, still go through that lack of exposure. So at 15, 14 years old, I knew at some point I wanted to do something to try to help.
Now, did you play football?
You got to know it. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm a Mighty Miller. I'm from Minneapolis, Washburn, a powerhouse in the city.
Okay.
We pretty much won everything for a long time. Things are changing over there now. It's more just an academic school than a football school. It was a big time basketball powerhouse for a long time as well. But I think we're gonna get it back. Yes, I'm a former Minneapolis Washburn football player. Played running back, played defensive back as well. I ended up going JUCO for 2 years in Cali. Went to Pasadena City College. Did my thing. Picked up a bunch of scholarship offers and opportunities. Ended up going to University of Cincinnati. Stayed there for a year. Then I transferred to D2. My grandma got sick. Was fighting cancer, so I ended up
Sorry to hear
transferring
that.
to D2. No, it's all good. She's in a better place, and she's no longer in pain. So went D2 in Minnesota, Concordia, and St. Paul. Finished up, got my degree in kinesiology. With also a minor in business, and jumped into the pre-draft prep world, doing the thing, and just knew at some point I wanted to do something more on scouting. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of my intro into the game on this side of it.
Okay, so you're a recruiting consultant. How would you describe those services? What exactly does a recruiting consultant do? Could you scoot over to your right just a little bit? You're kind of off camera. There we go.
All right, is better?
Way better.
All right. So a recruiting consultant is totally different than providing a recruiting service.
Okay.
All right. You have two types of services you can provide. You have a recruiting service where a college program will subscribe to that service. Okay. And that's actually the future of where I'm going, and I'm already on that side to a certain extent with different programs and different entities that I'm partnered with. Right. But I'll give you an example. So Clint Cosgrove, great guy, good friend of mine, a personal friend of mine. I've known Clint a long time. Clint works for a recruiting service, a true service. National Preps is a service that a university will subscribe to and pay, X amount of dollars for the information and data. That's why it's easy for a National Preps or XOs to attend a camp, not ever have to throw a camp, attend, get the data, information, the live eval, video, and then sell that to the university. A lot of people think they can do that. A lot of people think they can just jump in, but it ain't that easy. You're talking about a lot of blood, sweat here, sweat equity put in, and like everything, it's a relationship-driven business. So before you ever think about going to a true recruiting service, understand that relationships do have to be built. Relationships do take time. College coaches need to be able to trust your eye and your eval. So that's exactly what a service would be.
So how do you exactly do your evaluations, and how have you built that credibility up with these coaches? Because again, I've heard your name from multiple people before, and they obviously trust your judgment. So how does that get built up?
Well, I think the number one thing is being staying true to what my process is, and going to that as a recruiting consultant. I'm a person that will consult to you. So I'm consulting to. I have four different ways I do my consults. Number one, I consult the high school coach. Okay, a lot of times people want to go around the high school coach. I'm the opposite. I go sit down with that high school coach and I consult with him. So, example, say I had 30 schools across the country that would hire me, Levi Bradley, as a consultant to their program. Okay, they would hire me to consult to them. Hey, you can get with this, you can get with that. You should do this, you should do that. I don't know if that's a good move. You maybe might want to try this. I'll make sure they get into all the different camps, the different, media guys they need to know, the real ones, the ones that actually are going to go the extra mile for you. Just kind of give them the insight that maybe they don't know. Now, there's a lot of major programs out there where guys are reputable and they've done a good job of getting kids out, so they may not necessarily need recruiting consultation from me. You know what I'm saying? So that's that part of it, right? Then the second part of it is parent. You may have a parent that is trying to get, maybe he's at a program where the coach isn't well connected. Maybe the program hasn't been known for putting guys out. I can give you an example. I remember I had a kid from the west side of Chicago that years ago, that was a program. They never had a Division I program. They never had a Division I athlete. When I got done with him, he had 30 offers. He went to Purdue. You know what I'm saying? So that's the second part of it, consulting directly to the parent. Okay. The third part of it is consulting to an entity, like some type of a training entity or 7-on-7 group. Those guys are really just hitting the road and competing. But 90% of those guys, they're not on the phone, from 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning when coaches get up to get to the office. That goes some game for y'all. Call them in the morning before they get to the office. That goes some game. They're not up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Yeah, that's free smoke. So, doing stuff like that, getting with those different entities and showing them how they need to move to make sure those guys blow up is the third part of it. as well. So
That's understand. So, I'm sorry. Was there a fourth part? I don't know if you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the fourth part, like I always say, you have the high school program. You consult to the high school program. You also consult to the parents. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You also consult to what I just say.
The 707s and the training
Yeah,
services.
yeah. So like a 707, guys or whatever, and then last but not least, like a training entity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's
Okay.
say you
Okay.
have
You said that. I miscounted.
okay, yeah. So like a training entity as well. You know what I'm saying? So it may be Reggie Sports Performance. You know what I'm
Got you.
saying? I got a lot of guys across the country, world,
Mm-hmm.
that got real programs, from New Jersey to New York to especially Atlanta, Florida, Arizona, LA. I mean, like Pro Way, my dudes. You know what I mean? Exos. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people have me as their behind the scene assassin making some stuff happen.
Right. Right. So you've built these relationships over the years. How long have you been doing this?
Man, this would be my 18th year, dog. You know what I'm saying?
What was it?
18 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's just on the record. You know what I'm saying? I mean, off the record, I think I probably started doing this at 15. You know what I'm saying? Like at like 15, but on paper, yeah, 17, 18 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you built that stuff up. How do you go about building the credibility with the colleges? I mean, why do they trust you? What have you done to build that trust? Where in some cases with recruiting services, you see that a lot of those guys, and I'm not trying to dog anyone out here making an opinion, but just my observation has been, seems like that's going to be more the D2, D3 level,
Right.
1AA, different things like that. That's what you see. I've seen some of your clients who, I'm going to
Yeah.
let you name it if you want to, but I've seen them with some
Right.
real nice, sexy Power 5 offers. How is it you
Right.
built that credibility with these coaches?
Well, the first thing I would say is relationships. This is a relationship driven business. I play. I've coached the high school level. I've coached the youth level. I've been across the country on the high school level, the youth level. I've coached 7-on-7. I was a part of the first team to win the 7-on-7 national championship when that became a big deal. I was right there at the beginning of a lot of the stuff. I'm just 38 years old, but I was there in the beginning of a lot of stuff. You see Barron and all those guys, started Pylon and the things they did. Well, you also got to keep in mind, as my shirt says, sound mind, sound body. I'm the national camp director for Sound Mind, Sound Body as well. And we're the guys that invented the mega camp. So I want you to think about that for a second. There's a lot of mega camps. There's a lot of, things done across the country where guys going to get a bunch of coaches at one place at one time, where you're talking to one of the guys that was a part of that, you know what I'm saying, and still a part of that. So just being a part of that entity as well helped my network, and I was also able to help that entity by bringing my network to the table as well. But this has just been relationship, building not only through coaching, but then when you start talking about players, just being consistent at putting guys out. Really not big on giving up names, but I will because it's you. I respect you.
Hey, don't feel pressure.
Right?
If you do, we'd
No,
love to
ain't
hear.
no
Okay,
pressure. Ain't no
yeah.
pressure. I'm dealing with a real man, so it's all
Okay,
good. I know the platform is real.
appreciate
So, like example, I just had 17 guys get drafted. This year, one kid went in the first round. I just had my godson get drafted to the Detroit Lions. I just had Frank Ragnow get drafted to the Detroit Lions 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
you. Fantastic.
Um, you got kids like Lonnie Johnson from Gary Westside. Shout out to his father, his uncle Jason. And his son Jave. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
the list goes on and on of different guys. I don't even count anymore. As far as how many kids go to the league and how many kids get put on. But one thing I can say is just being consistent and and type of person I am, and I'm very outspoken. I got a little bit of charisma. I can talk a lot. Sometimes people get thrown off and think, man, he's full of man. Yeah, please, okay, but I promise you, you're not gonna run in any circle in this game, and not at some point see my name come up from a positive perspective. You know what I'm saying? And I
Hmm.
just think that you get to that point by being consistent, evaluating talent, and projecting where it's gonna go. It's a projection based business. It's a performance based business. But make no mistake, it is a relationship driven business. If your high school coach doesn't have relationships, it doesn't make him a bad guy, but he has to get out there and get on it. If he doesn't have the time to do it, then you got to get out there as mom and dad or whoever and get on top of it. And, go be Robin Hood. Go get, all the gems and the jewels and come back, be a pirate. Go get all the gems and jewels and come back and give it to your coach. Like, yo, man, I'm doing what I got to do for my son. I don't know if you know these people, but I'm about to tie you in and tap you in. Or, hey, I'm about to give you this coach's number. Hey, maybe I got to come in as a dad and, on the side and help out. Get your program together. I do coach high school football as well at Kenwood Academy in Chicago, so I'm a part of that staff as well.
Oh, okay.
But from every the thing that is you have to be a dog. You have to fight for the last piece on the bone. You have to be a pit. You cannot be a poodle. And there's a lot of poodles in this game. There's a lot of guys want to be cute and go to the dog and pony show, but you ain't bought that life. You're not really trying to get it. You just want to go to school and sit on the bench and get a degree. They're not looking for those guys. They're looking for guys that come in and compete at a very high level and help them win games. And oh, by the way, that degree thing,
you broke up. You broke up. So what'd you say about that degree? You broke up a little bit. Sorry.
No, I'm saying getting your degree is everything. I mean, that's priceless. You know what I'm saying? But you better understand, that, that's for you.
Right.
Okay? That's for you to get that. Your job is to come there and make sure that school wins games and that you compete at a high level. And, the more competitive you are, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
The kid with the shortest learning curve is the kid that played. Mike Floyd is one of my kids. Chantrell Henderson is one of my kids. You know what I'm saying? The reason why Mike Floyd played as a freshman, Mikey went in. We had him so prepared, okay? But he went in with the mentality that I'm going to eat right now. Like, I'm not waiting for I'm eating right now. But the knowledge of the game that he had, how competitive he was, the situations we put him in, the different camps and showcases I would put him through that didn't get put on TV. I mean, it's stuff that goes on. You could do something tomorrow in Naperville, and probably call the dogs across the city, hey, pull up. We want all the smoke. Mm-hmm. And guess what? There's some kids out there, some coaches that say, oh, yeah, say less. And it never gets put on tape. Right. There's plenty of days in L.A., plenty of days in Oakland, plenty of days in Tampa, Detroit, East Side, West Side, all through St. Louis. I mean, at parks and football fields, we just pull up and we get to work in. You know what I'm saying? And then we see each other at camps. People don't understand that bond and that brotherhood because we've been, we've been rocking and doing business with each other for a long, long time. And that's another part of where I'm at today is that I have strong relationships with a lot of reputable high school coaches across the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I love my city, I love my state, but I said the country.
Yeah.
So, when you can go to Los Angeles or go to Detroit or go to St. Louis or go to Jersey or Florida and you get off that plane and people down there, and we all know people, but you got people down there that respect because of what you did for them 10 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and they respect you because, the competitive nature that you brought to them from the players you had. I mean, it makes a difference. I mean, I'll just say something, just a sidebar that, just right before the pandemic, me and my guys at the last minute decided to bus tour, and we hit 6 schools in 2 days. We hit LSU, Ole Miss, Memphis, Arkansas State. The list goes on.
Okay, I know some kids that were going with you on that. Yeah,
you already know. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was just something that I came up with spur of the moment, and we got after it, and we got kids on campus, and we did what we had to do to make that happen.
Some of those guys left the office.
It's just little things like that. It's little things like that people don't see.
Okay. So you said, okay, you've been doing this thing for 18 years now, and I know things have changed. It was more than 18 years ago when I was going through the process myself, but things have changed. What do you think about some of these changes, like with the early offers, non-committable offers, and things like that? Speak to that for us.
I'm happy you asked that question because that's always the magic question nowadays. I mean, a lot of people think they got the game figured out. Like, hey, if I get an offer right now, then all of a sudden I'm going to get 5 more offers. I only need 1 offer, and after that 1 offer, I'm good. Not true. Because after that offer, 2 weeks later, a week later, that kid, that dad, that coach, they're looking for another offer to come. And some people just feel like if they get a offer, others will come. The only thing a offer would do is put a spotlight on you that you exist, you've been ordained as a Division I guy, now people want to see if you are who you say you are, right? So now everyone's going to invite you to their camp, their one-day camp, so you can show it to them as a staff, or they're going to invite you to their showcase camp, whether it's a local thing or whether it's, kind of a national thing like Rivals is doing their camp series, Under Armour. Obviously that stuff was canceled this year, but you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going to say, oh, well, since you got a Division I offer, or say you are, hey, pull up. Let's see if you are. And obviously that kid will to prove that. Now, in between time, it will get you on the map or on the radar so people can evaluate your film and look a little deeper into who you are and your program. And that's a great opportunity. But I think sometimes parents and players, they confuse what that is. You know what I'm saying? If you get your first offer and it's a big school or a small school, whatever, it's just basically just showing the world that you've been identified as a guy.
Mm-hmm. But
the whole committable versus non-committable, let's just talk about it. Every offer, I'm saying this out loud, I say it all the time, and I'm happy to have this platform to say it. Every offer is the same from the perspective that it's all contingent on performance. I don't care if a guy offers you today or tomorrow because, hey, you're really good. We're Michigan. We're offering you right now. Okay, that's good. But ultimately, in the end, it's a continuous evaluation, right? So if it's a continuous evaluation, at some point, if you don't perform or you don't show that you're that guy, they may have a different, feeling. Or if other guys continue to pop up, because every day, as the old saying goes, every day a star is born.
Mm-hmm.
So when a new DN pops up, a new running back pops up, a receiver pops up, how is that coaching staff not to take a look at that kid and say, okay, this kid's pretty legit too? Mm-hmm. I think Alabama has set the standard. And here's what I mean. Alabama's offer is always the same. We will offer you. We think you can play at Alabama. You're legit. But if you want to make this committable, come to my camp. And you don't even ask Nick Saban, oh, man, can I not come to camp? You respect it. You feel me?
Yeah.
You respect it. Yeah, Alabama offered me, but I got to go to that camp and I got to show them what I do. Shout out to Dabo. I've known him a long time. Listen, Tony Elliott, that's my dog. Offensive coordinator at Clemson. They got a rule. We ain't offering you till you're a junior. That's their thing. That's how they get down. But one thing that's for certain, if you go to their camp and you show you're that dude, Alabama and the Clemsons of the world, well, then there's usually probably a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But see, we don't want that. Everybody wants the microwave, get rich, quick scheme.
Correct.
I'm gonna play the game of just getting offers. Now they ran the bag up. I got 35 schools on me, 35 fan bases on me. But now they're looking at your film. And you thought that they was looking at the highlight. The highlight was, the nice sign,
they got you in the door. Yeah.
Man, okay.
They got you in the door.
Yeah, I'm from out of town. What's Portillo's? What's Hero's Chicken? I'm from out of town. Okay.
Yeah.
But then when you go in,
you got to eat the meat.
So people start, exactly. People start looking at the details of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So, with these camps and the star ratings and stuff, how important is that for trying to get your kids up? I know you talked about the Rivals camp, and there's going to be various camps you go to. I personally prescribe to going to camps only where the college coaches are. But some people believe that you need to go to Rivals and get your star rating up. What do you think about all that stuff?
I think camps are extremely important. As stated earlier, one of the biggest things for me is I'm a camp director. I've been a camp director for Sound Mind, Sound Body. I have my own camp series, my United Stars Football Academy camp. I do a bunch of camps across the country, and that was actually set up for all my NFL players. So basically, I do their football camps in the off season. But I do my Chicago showcase every year, which actually became the biggest showcase camp in the Midwest. And people don't understand the importance of camps, but I'm gonna tell you, when you go to an NFL tryout, okay, it's a workout, it's camp. When you go to the NFL Combine, it's a camp, okay? When you get cut and you need to be brought back in, they're going to go put you through a workout. It's a simulation of a camp, okay? There's no 7-on-7 to it. They're going to bring you in and say, we want to give you a look as or Detroit line, show what you can do. Or, hey, all these guys are going to come to the Senior Bowl. All these guys are going to come to the line to see you run camp-style stuff. The earlier these kids, participate in that, the more comfortable they become with that, okay? And in the process of, going to the next level, collegiate and pro, you want to be not only comfortable with it, but you want to have that routine, like a dance routine, kind of down pat. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So the more you do, the better. And then here's the X factor, a big X factor. You know, and I know, we get spring ball in the Midwest. Do
Mm-hmm.
we don't?
Yeah.
We don't get the rest
Slow
of
down a
the
second.
country
You're
gets.
breaking up a little
So
bit.
we have to take everything we can get.
Hey, rewind. So
You
you said
good?
there's no spring ball in the Midwest, and then you broke up a little bit. I'm sorry. I think I only ever want to hear
Yeah,
what you have
no,
to
you
say.
good. No, we don't get spring ball in the Midwest. Number one, and number two, we need to get as much exposure and as much work as possible, just because we're not given that opportunity. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Tampa and been all through Miami and all through Georgia, where college coaches live there for a week. They,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, like in abundance, to the point I've talked to college coaches, they believe in Georgia so much they don't even want to recruit the rest of the country. And Georgia's like that. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Georgia
Mm-hmm.
is that fruitful. Florida's always had dudes, but in Georgia you can find programs where the coaches really do a good job of developing, and there's a lot of talent on top of talent, right?
Right.
My point being is, since we don't have spring ball this way, we figured our easy way in was, if these kids get used to competing against kids from other areas and other parts of your state, and these kids get through the repetition of, what that looks like, when they get to the rivals and the Under Armour thing, they're going to be prepared. But most important, when you get prepared, when you get to that 1 day camp,
Mm-hmm.
when you get to that 1 day camp, it's the same thing. It just looks prettier. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of kids
I think
fighting for one on
I
ones.
think I hear what
They're
you're
on them
saying with
camps.
that,
So
because sorry
yeah,
to cut you off. You talked about like where you just said fighting for one on ones. It's grueling for some of these kids. Get out there, people are stealing reps. Your son thinks he's next. Someone jumps up in front of him, and he's going to have to stand up and man up for himself. I think a lot of
yep,
that's not really football. I think that a lot of these kids are trying to be on their best behavior and understand what's going to go on, and there's people who know. It sounds like what you're saying is they just got to get used to what's going on at these camps, because there's going to be camps that count more than others. So get as many camps as you possibly can so that you can understand what's going on.
I'm telling you, and to be honest with you, you're absolutely right. But here's another factor to the camp game. You're gonna meet the real people that run the real people that run the game. Man, the college coaches. College coaches control the game. They cut the check, the final decision. But somebody's got their ear. You have Pablo Escobar and you got Gustavo. Just go watch Narcos.
Yeah.
No matter what Pablo did, he had a in his ear like, look, man, I don't know if that's a good decision. Somebody's Gustavo.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's your high school coach. Sometimes it's dad. Sometimes it's me. But those people are at the camps because they want to get work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't offer a service. It's not, hey, pay me. I'm gonna tell you what it be. You go to a camp and you got. I'm gonna use my man from East St. Louis for an example because that's my dog, Darren Sunk. Sunky got a lot of juice. He a Jersey boy. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of Jersey. Moved to St. Louis. That's where his wife from. He a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sunky gonna sit there if you know him. He real cool and he ain't gonna really say too much. He got a lot of juice. Shout out to Thomas Welcher at Cass Tech. Got a lot of juice. Shout out to Jermaine Crowell. He got a lot of muscle. He's only had five stars in 4 years at one school, and they still ain't won a state championship yet. They might do it this year, but my point being is these high school coaches and movers and shakers are sitting in one spot watching their kid against your kid, and they say, "Hey, coach, that kid can play." People will never see how many times that the Carl Reeds and Robert Steeps, I got them on the sideline and said, you need to talk to some kid. That's how we set our plays, and we do it like a pit fight.
Mm-hmm.
My dogs against your dogs. But guess what? All the coaches are talking to each other.
Right.
They tapping in and tying in. Now they like, yo, hey, I ain't got no Bay Area connects. Hey, I'm from the Bay, you feel me? Hey, take my number down, man. I'll coach over here. And then people start helping each other out.
So when should they start doing that? I know, like, when I came coming out in 8th grade, I know a lot of people hitting these camps. My philosophy has always been, it's kind of like a lawyer. They say, don't ever ask a question that you don't know the answer to. And don't ever put your kid in camp if you don't know what he can do. So for me, if your son is a skill guy and he's going to run a 5 flat as an 8th grader, it's not the end of the world. We can work on that and get it down. But let's not do that in front of somebody where they're writing it down. Is that your philosophy, or do you feel like you can always get that better? I kind of feel like there's never a second chance to make a first impression. If I'm a college coach and I see a kid and I think he's slow, I'll always think he's slow. If I think he's fast, hopefully I'll always think he's fast. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Oh man, you hit the nail with the hammer, man, because it's the God's honest truth that You only get that one time, that first impression, and you want to make sure you're mindful when you do go to these camps. It's for repetition. It's to get comfortable to that doggy dog environment, but you want to be mindful of what you will and will not do. And they're going to try to get you sometimes to run and get those scores on you, and you shouldn't do it. I feel like this, and this has always been my theory. Going to these camps early, as in the eighth and ninth and 10th grade, and running times is okay to a certain extent if you feel like your kid is close to the time he's going to run. But truth be told, I don't believe in running. I don't believe in kids running that early. College coaches do because they want to get as much data as early as possible. And these fly-by-night entities that pop up and they start doing camps and they get you to come out and run or whatever. I don't believe in that. At my camps, I only a combine once, and it was optional to the guys that wanted to do it. And I there were certain guys I knew that ran 4.2 and 4.3 out of Chicago, and I got it on record. And I said, I know you run that, so this going to be your platform, and that helped a couple of kids out. But I'm the first person to tell you at camp, to me, don't run a 40 unless you've been working on it, because here's what ends up happening. Perception becomes reality. Becomes reality, unless you're in a warm weather climate like Arizona or Florida or Georgia, and you have an agent that paid $30,000 for you to get the best meals and training for 2-3 months at a time, that's the only time you should be doing it. Oh yeah, by the way, that guy's gone his way to the NFL. That's situation for a guy that just hired an agent to get him prepared for the NFL Combine. So unless you know your kid, is confident in that, and he runs well, to me, I don't see the importance of it, but I do see the importance of this. At some point, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be asked to run. Absolutely. You can't run from it.
Be ready.
You are going to be asked to show if you are who you say you are. So now that you know that, that means behind closed doors, you need to be getting with your high school track coach, getting with some speed specialists, getting with some entity level. And, I tell people all the time, Chicago front, there's a lot of good trainers out here and programs and entities that do what they do. And regardless of all the good and bad that comes with every business, listen to me, go and get that work. Go sign up for whatever that program is to learn how to run that 40-yard dash, because at some point you should be asked for early. I agree with you 100%. It's something that shouldn't be ran.
So, hey, when should somebody hit the panic button, so to speak, or maybe reset their expectations? So, my son is, everybody wants to be a D1 guy, whatever, and, maybe they don't grow in that fast enough. At what point do you need to start saying, hey, maybe I should be looking at one FCS, or maybe I should be looking at D2, or maybe I should be just thinking D3, or maybe senior year is my last year? When does that happen?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is understanding, who you are in the beginning, right? You want to play at the Division I level, but and I know that you may not necessarily be that dude. You know what I'm saying? This is raining real bad, so it's making some noise on the shutter. So excuse that noise in the back. But my point being is you kind of know what you are, but you know where you want to go. So the panic button to me always comes in if you don't know who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you don't know who you are, that's when the panic button comes in. Now, there's times where kids are truly doing dudes and they fall through the cracks. So something happens where they don't get put on out there. But there's other options. I know people don't necessarily believe in the JUCO option or the prep school option because everybody wants the glory. They just want to be able to be a declarated high school player, get a bunch of offers, pick a school, and be done with it. But, the guys making in this business are the guys that do what they have to do, not what they want to do. And that's some real game. Do what you have to do, not what you want to do. And there's so many times people do what they want to do. So if it doesn't maybe go the way that you want, going to FCS in Illinois isn't a bad idea. Going to Eastern Illinois is not a bad idea. Those are great guys, great coaches. And obviously you have to look into these programs for yourself. But I'm just saying, whether you go to NDSU, and I'll use this for an example because I know Trey Lace. Trey Lace is a Minnesota kid who never got an offer from the Gophers, okay? And he did get a couple of Division I offers, like Western Michigan came in late. But he goes to NDSU. He sits on the bench. He soaks up the game, okay, as a redshirt freshman. Knows the offense, wins the national championship on the bench, comes back next year, does it big, wins the national championship as a redshirt freshman. Now he's coming back as a sophomore. You need 3 years out of high school to declare for the draft. He's right now the number 3 quarterback on every NFL draft board right now.
Wow.
He's played 1 year college football. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you got sometimes, like, whether you're FCS or Division I dude, FBS, just hit the reality. It's about playing, because there's a lot of guys that want that glory of the logo on their polo. They say, I play at Iowa or Minnesota or Illinois or Notre Dame. They want that glory. But when you get there, you're not playing. Now you're trying to transfer, and now you're in the portal, and only 17% of the guys are coming out of the portal. So
let's not gloss over that. So you said people that go into the portal, 17% are coming out of that portal. So the other 83%, are they out of college football? Are they dropping a level? What's going on with those? Because that's real. Say it again.
Yeah, they dropping the level. See, I talk to college coaches every day, and we have real conversations. And here's the stigma on the portal. The stigma on the portal is 90% of the guys, 80% of the guys in the portal, they can't play. They're soft. They're disgruntled. And I'm not saying that because that's true, and that's a very negative perception. But let's just be honest. How many kids are so highly decorated out of high school, and I'll use your son for an example, right? Say your son is, goes to become one of the top 5 receivers in the nation, and he's highly decorated, but he built this strong relationship with U of I, right? And that's the home school. But then he goes to Notre Dame, which is the next door neighbor school, right? But then he wants to leave. When he hits the portal, people are going to be all over, because they're going to say, hey, you know what? I built a strong relationship with this kid, the family. I feel like I had him in the bag, and the prestige of Notre Dame got him. Because that relationship is there. 90% of the time, when that guy hits the portal, that conversation's already been done. You feel me?
Right.
They've already had that conversation with the high school coach or something. So when he hits the portal,
they're going through the motions.
He ain't gonna be sitting there too long.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what kids will do, because they're not realizing they're still in this is a business now. Some of them have legitimate reasons. Let's not make it seem like these college coaching and these programs are always true to their word at times, right? But when that kid hits that portal, they sit there for a minute. You feel me? And then eventually the writing's on the wall to them that I gotta play. Mm-hmm. So you see where this goes back to Trey Lace? Go where you can play. You know what I'm saying? Because you end up, going to that spot, maybe not playing, maybe things don't work out, maybe you really did get screwed over, because that happens. And then you hit the portal, and now you're trying to bounce back, and you don't get what you want. And then here's the X factor. People who do what they have to do, they get what they want, right? Go JUCO.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but JUCO. You heard the stigma about it, right? So you don't want to be with a bunch of kids that were at a Division I and bounced back, or kids that didn't do the right thing out of high school, or kids that are good guys that are under the radar, where the facilities aren't top notch, and you're paying out of your pocket because you don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have in your mind that, hey man, if I go this route, you want the glory. You don't want to go get it from the mud to the marble. Mm-hmm. But the guys in the NFL, whether they're white, black, from the suburbs or from the country, whether they're Samoan, Pacific Islander, I promise you, I've seen it. The guys who make it are the guys who do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are so many stories of guys, regardless if they came from wealth or they came from nothing. The reason they are in the NFL is not by mistake. They busted their tails and put the work in. You get a check in 2 weeks after working for 2 weeks. But we're in a time now where guys don't want to put the work in. You feel me?
Yeah.
Guys will feel like, yo, I'm just going to pay Levi a couple of bucks. I'm going to go play EFT Sports Performance a couple of bucks. Or I'm going to jump on Boom, because JR and them guys do a good job of getting the kids out there traveling. I'm going to jump with Chris James and Hero, because they do a good job with the kids. And I'm on. I made it. Nah, you still got to put in work. You still got to cut throats. You still got to be a dog.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I know I can't keep you all day. Before I leave, I want to talk about, when's your next camp? When's the next thing that people can see and become a part of your program?
Yeah, well, obviously, with the pandemic, COVID, that shut down the local camp that I do, and it shut down a lot of different stuff that we're doing with Sound Mind, Sound Bodies, but we always got stuff that we're putting together. I got a couple of private events that I'm putting together that'll be invite only, but since, I like this platform and, I love you dearly.
Appreciate you.
I'll wrap it up. I'll get to you, and then I'll let you put that out.
Okay.
We'll write that with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I want to keep what I got going on next private. I'm not going to be able to, just because of just my spirit, and then just coming from, Minneapolis, where I was just at the George Floyd thing, and we did a lot on 38th in Chicago to try to help, like where my spirit is right now is I want to see us all eat. That's how I'm always moving and talking about us as a unit, as one city, one heartbeat, one region. I love the country, but I'm from the Midwest. We the Midwest. We got the best at everything. We just need
Well, hey, we're running out of time here. I know that weather's getting bad, connections getting a little bit poor. I want to definitely have you back. I thank you so much for coming on the show today. You guys give me the contact information. I'll put it under my screen for how people can get in touch with you if they need to. But I appreciate you, and God bless.
Yeah, bro.
All right.
Yep.
The day has come, but let you know where I'm coming from. Yeah.
That's the praise out. Rain out there.
Still on.